I'm joined by Sociopolitical Technocrat, our very own friend of the house right here. He is Dr. Kayode Adedayo. Good morning, Doctor. How are you today?
Yes, everything is cool and calm. Good morning.
Good
Except
morning.
that petrol is not readily available to the people.
Let's begin from that particular issue, right? Because that's
Really?
that's what's on the minds of Nigerians right now. Petrol. I mean, we had so much hopes for Dangote Refinery rolling out its products. It's here, and now we have. Take a listen to this, headline on the front page of the Punch. It says 950 naira per liter Dangote petrol may justify more importation. This is coming from the marketers. They're saying, okay, if we were able to sell less when we're importing, why are we buying more? Why are we paying more when we have someone producing in our country? Why don't we just continue to import? What's your take on this?
It's nothing other than leadership conspiracy against the people. I was discovering someone yesterday, and I now told them that what we are experiencing in this country is nothing other than conspiracy against the people. And they now asked me why. I said, okay, a father is supposed to control the children as regards table etiquette. When that father is not doing so, try to understand that he has some ulterior motive, like either being able to eat more of the pieces of meat inside the plate or to consume more of the food than the child. I mean, how can you expect a child to be using fork and knife to eat pounded yam instead of the hand?
Yeah.
Instead of the hand. So what I'm saying in essence is this. Dangote Refinery itself has never fixed the price. And you see those in control fixing the price. Now the question is, what is the president doing as regards that? If he is not part of the connivance. All right? Now tell me again, what is the use of us preparing pounded yam in our own house because we have tubers of yam in our own farm, which the market price doesn't affect? We have our own mortar to prepare it. We also have vegetable plantation in our farm. So how can we now say that we will abandon the one being prepared in the house to that of the outside if there is no connivance? There's one Yoruba that says, Aluwala ologbo, ọgbọ́n àti kẹran jẹ ni. That is, when you see a cat sitting down quietly and then rubbing his four hands, believe it, he's looking for your carelessness so that cat will be able to go and eat your meat that you are keeping somewhere. Tell me, we are not producing this in here. We are the one giving Dangote Refinery crude oil. The refinery is within Nigeria. You are not shipping it. You are not paying any custom duty. So how come you are now saying it is cheaper than the one that you are importing? It is absurd. It is never heard of. absorbed and never heard of. Right. So if you are not saying you want to be importing, that means because you have stolen our commonwealth to go and develop some other economy by building refineries there, and then you don't want to lose that money that you have invested there. That's why you are now saying yes, the one being imported is cheaper than the one you have been produced in your country.
Dr. Adedayo, let me interrupt you for a second.
No, little wonder. They have never allowed Dangote refinery to reel out this product.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Let's talk about
take that one to lie low.
Right. Let's talk about the importation. We recall that not too long ago, NNPC came out to talk about how they were in debt. And the federal government also talked about how they cannot continue to import. Now, based on this headline, still on the Punch newspaper, major oil marketers have come out to state that the high price of this petrol would encourage the importation of the commodity. And they also noted that some PMS vessels might arrive in Nigeria from today. They stated that some big players may not get the quantity of petrol that they want from Dangote, and they may have to complete this by importing. Now, we're looking at the possibility of marketers still importing petrol into a country where we're producing it locally. How do we balance this? Dangote has the petrol that he has rolled out to the NNPC, but some marketers are saying, oh, because of the price, there's still a possibility of us importing. Are we going to see a case where some marketers' petrol might become cheaper than that's being sold at NNPC? How do we balance this, and how do we ensure that NNPC doesn't now eventually put a sort of monopoly in quote, or is there a possibility of an absolute instruction on no more importation? Let's get your thoughts on that.
You see, everything you have said are being fraught with truth gap. Truth gap.
Okay.
There is no more truth between the leaders and the led. To the extent that what we are now seeing in this country is nothing other than this aristocracy. We are being deceived from all angles. And it is unfortunate Nigerians have been lazy enough not to be getting at facts to present their own side of the story to the government, towards showing scientific understanding of circumstances within our political environment. Imagine this, NNPC that has not been producing, NNPC that has been collecting money over the years for turnaround maintenance of our refineries, now coming out to say is owing billions of dollars. So how did you come about that? Even the petrol PMS now that you have been importing, have you been selling that particular product on credit? Have you been selling on credit? So how come you are owing? Of recent, if you remember, I think early this year or late last year, was it not the same NNPC that was declaring profits?
Profits, yes. They were declaring profits.
So where is that profit?
Even the monies that have been saved over the removal of the fuel subsidy, you know, there was a time we were hearing 1 trillion
so where is that
naira.
Profit? That is number one. Number two, remember, when this government is being sworn in, on the inauguration day, it said that so that we can have enough savings for infrastructural development is now removing fuel subsidy. And the price of PMS jumped by over 300%. So where are those savings? Tell me, where are those savings?
Right.
What have you used those savings to do? Do you understand?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
who is deceiving who here? Who is deceiving who?
That's
Remember,
why.
there's a saying, there's a saying that says, you can deceive all of the people all of the time. I mean, some of the time. You can deceive all of the people some of the time. But you cannot deceive all of the people all of the time.
All right.
Time has now shown that Nigerians are being ruled by deceivers, propagandists, Machiavellians, and wicked people in the high place.
That's why there have been calls for an increased transparency and accountability in these sectors. Thank you for your thoughts, Dr. Adedayo Kayode. But just before Vivian comes in and before we move away from this particular headline, I would like to connect this with, in regards to this Edo governorship polls that is set to hold on Saturday, the 21st of September 2024. Now, the Punch puts it this way: Edo governorship poll, petrol crisis threatens election as APC and PDP set for showdown. Now, a writer says INEC and transporters review election materials, personnel carriage contract. In a climb where everything is getting digitized, technological advancement, we're still seeing updates like this. First off, let's get your perspective on these headlines talking about the petrol crisis threatening the election. Are we probably seeing the possibility of a move owing to this, like a postponement? Or let's get your perspective. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Let's just get your perspective on this.
You see, we have talked about the conspiracy in the petroleum sector. We have also talked about the pricing and how the government have been deceiving us towards milking us unnecessarily. Now, let us now take a cursory look at that Edo election that you just mentioned. If you remember, I think last week, the PDP said it will not sign
the peace accord.
the peace accord.
Yes.
The peace accord. And it's because they have seen the likely effects of some of the officials that are going to take part in the electioneering processes in Edo State. For instance, the issue of the Commissioner of Police transferred to Edo and the issue of REC, even though I will blame PDP not to have raised that issue of REC before now. But however, how does that now ensure a level playing ground in Edo? If you can recollect what happened during the last presidential election, whereby the Mahmoud came out to plead passionately to Nigerians that every result will be transferred electronically. What did we see? I will now use this opportunity to advise the Edo people that any result that is to be announced, despite if INEC should talk about glitches, should not be allowed to stand. Because there is nobody who has the monopoly of violence. Nobody. Look at what has been happening in Edo State now. People now going around with guns, cutlasses, and all that, saying that they are. And now even saying all those other security outfits that are legal to the state. You are now saying they shouldn't be involved in electioneering. Where is that one done? So that means you now want to use the police to harass the people. Who doesn't know? Who doesn't know that when a thief comes to one's house, steal your property, and is now telling you brazenly that, yes, I know I've stolen your property, let us go to the police station. Who doesn't know that his cousin or uncle or wherever is waiting for him at that police station to free him? Who doesn't know? So Edo people should be vigilant. They should open their eyes. Anything that goes against the electoral guidelines should not be allowed to stand.
Yeah.
Because we Nigerians, we are now wise enough.
I agree. Nigerians are very wise. Yeah, Nigerians are very... Yeah. So let me quickly come in, right? Because we have... Our time is not much. I want us to quickly...
Let us borrow time today.
I wish we could. But you know, Doctor, there's this issue that's also on the front burner right now, right? Let me draw your attention to the front page of the Daily Trust. It says, despite 40 billion naira ecological fund, flood ravages states. I want to give you a little background to the flood issue in Nigeria now, especially the one in Borno, which is drawing lots of concerns from all around the world. Now, defects in Alao Dam in Maiduguri, which were discovered over 9 years ago, are responsible for the overflow of the dam, which has resulted to the displacement of millions of Nigerians. Now, interestingly, on our sister station, High Impact 102.1 FM, at 9 a.m. today, they're going to be discussing this issue, flooding, natural or infrastructural disaster. What's your take on this?
You see, let us look at ecological fund from the days of, I think, Evans I know, isn't it? Evans I know, in those days. Evans I know. I remember, yes, Evans I know, in those days. Bringing that to that ecological fund during Fayose era in Ekiti. Bring it to ecological fund in, I think, Enugu or so, along the line again. Bring it down now to today. Now, put it side by side. What Better Edu also did in our own ministry then. What am I saying here? These are conduit pipes in which government officials have been using to siphon our money. The facts are there. Each year, you devote a lot of money to ecological fund. What is even ecological? Fund? These are monies that are supposed to be used to envisaging disaster in some areas that are ecologically ravaged. That is, you're not supposed to use this fund to correct the ecological defects so that when disaster comes, because there is no way you can stop natural disaster, it can easily be mitigated. The effect on the people can be reduced drastically. But what do we get? They don't do nothing with it. Therefore, like issue came to mind when Fayose was given a lot of money to correct the ecological infractions there. Did you use the money to do that? Rather, I was having poultry that you cannot even perceive the smell of the faces of the chicken. Talk less of seeing chicken feathers at those poultries. So these are issues. And all these things are being done at the detriment of people's safety. It's alarming.
So, Dr.
It's
Kayode,
alarming.
just before we go, how can we ensure a proper checks and balance system? But because if we take a look at this story on the Daily Trust, it talks about how over 39 billion naira has been given to the 36 states for ecological funds disbursement from June 2023 to 2024. And this is also aside the 3 billion naira which the Vice President last week said had been approved by the President Bola Tinubu for each state of the Federation to tackle all forms of natural disaster, including flooding. So how do we ensure some sort of checks and balances if this amount of money is being churned out for each state in the Federation to manage natural disasters, flood inclusive? Who should take the fall? How exactly do we ensure some sort of checks and balances and appropriate usage of the funds?
There is no way you can ensure proper checks and balances, nor the appropriate usage of those funds, in as much as there are a series of connivance between the three forms of government, that is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Right. The legislature that is supposed to check on how these funds are being disbursed, coupled with its effective use, are not doing what they are supposed to do. They are in connivance with the executive. And when they are being caught, they will say, okay, let us go to the court. Who owns that same court? When they get to the court, you will see postponement upon postponement, and the case will last for how many years? And at the end of the day, some other cases will arise, and one will now forget those ones. So tell me, how do you do that? We can all remember up to today, the one that came to my mind now, the issue of Iyabo Obasanjo. The issue of Iyabo Obasanjo when he was in the Senate, and what he did with the, I think, Ministry of Health then. We can also remember the issue of the mic.
Mm.
What have we heard out from it? We are seeing situations whereby even the president of the Senate will come down and say, the president is our father. Whatever he asks us to do, we will do. So tell me, how do you now ensure that the legislature perform their oversight functions as regards disbursement and effective usage of all these funds?
These are issues that should be really, really addressed. But we cannot go further with the conversation because our time is fast spent. And unfortunately, we cannot borrow time today, Dr. Adedayo Kayode. But we'll definitely, have you some other time as a friend of the house. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and for sharing your thoughts with us on some of the stories on the national dailies.
It's my pleasure being with you this morning. Thanks for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you too. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us.